First of all, welcome, aloha. Thank you for coming, and thank you for supporting Russell Hata and his vision for Chef Zone about trying to incorporate more local ingredients into the store and for sustainability. So thank you, Russell. We start off with Daikong tea. This is the third class I've had. So the first time we had mamaki tea, second time chaga tea, which is a mushroom, and today is Daikong tea. Okay, so there's a part of me that I don't look, skinny, but there's a part of me that's into wellness now, ever since the pandemic. And so my other half, Alice, actually is vegetarian. So during the pandemic, I had to cook vegetarian. So I got more used to it. So this is just an indication of the things that I've been getting into. Okay, this actually started in Shanghai in our restaurant. Okay, so if you've been here before, bear with me. I'm going to tell the story again. One of the cooks, his father was a Chinese herbalist, pharmacist. And so I asked him, when he found out, make me something. I said, make me something for the three highs. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, high sugar. Okay? The first thing he gave me was corn silk tea. It's a throwaway. The silk from husking the corn, you just steep it over hot water. The longer you let it sit, the sweeter it gets. Okay? He gave me this next. And then the last thing he gave me, the onion skin from onions with no white, hot water, onion skin tea. Those are all listed right here. Okay? The mamaki tea, likewise, addresses all the three, and it's a digestive, and a lot of people used to like drinking that after dinner, which had no caffeine. Okay? Any questions? So you can stop me at any time if you have any questions at all. Okay? The first thing that we're going to go do is this is a side-by-side tasting of two tomatoes. It's a blind tasting. You don't know what they are. Okay? So what I want you to do is don't take the whole wedge at one time. Bite the left side. Okay? Clear your palate. Then bite the right side. And then clear your palate. Then bite the right side and go to the left side. Okay? There's a reason for that. But if you take smaller bites but equal, you can go back and forth as many times as you want. Okay? So try it. And the only question there's going to be is I'm going to ask, which side do you like better, the left side or the right side? That's the only question. By the way, these are both the same varieties. They're all both beefsteak tomatoes. Okay, and I have an example here. This would be the shape of a beefsteak tomato, and this would be the shape of a plum tomato. And you would use these for two different things when you buy them. So let me explain what's happening. Okay, when you go left to right, we're talking about acid and sweet. Okay. Now, for those of you who go out to have wine with dinner, this is very, very true. So pay attention now. Okay, if you like wine, if you taste something sour, the more acid than this one's going to appear sweeter. Appear. Okay, no magic. Now, if this one's sweeter than this one's going to taste more acidic. That's why I suggested you go here, clear, then you go here. Okay, left, right, and right, left. Okay. Okay. So, when you're doing a pairing, let's say a dessert, okay? Someone made a beautiful chocolate cake, and you're going to pair it with a nice dessert wine. If the dessert wine is sweeter than the cake is not going to taste the same. It's going to taste less sweet. So if this is kind of on the acidic side, not as sweet enough, this chocolate cake is going to taste sweeter than what it is supposed to be. So you want to get something sweet level, pretty close to where this guy is, chocolate cake. Then you got the marriage. Okay, because you don't want anyone to get thrown off. That is a food and wine pairing. Make sense? If you have a nice fish with a butter sauce, you want something sharp and acidic. Okay, that's what sometimes a Chardonnay would do. That cuts through the fat and the butter, that complements it. That's a different kind of pairing. Okay, the dessert wine and the chocolate cake is a certain kind of pairing, and when you're trying to attack fat, that's another kind of pairing. But what Joy is getting is these 5 things that come up here. This is how I cook. So if you notice, there are no recipes. You have to take notes. Okay, I cook by way of sodium, acid, sweet, heat, and bitter. So if something is too sweet, I'm going to grab something from the acid box to balance them out. If something is too sweet and I throw something acidic, it's sweet sour. Okay? If something is too sweet and I throw some heat at it, it's hot sweet. Okay? The hot will cancel the sweet. So as I'm tasting, that's what's going in my head. Because these guys change every single time you buy them. Even if you buy them from the same farmer. One might be like very ripe and one might be like, oh, what happened? Right? So for the wine drinkers, okay? You go out to dinner and you drink this wine and say, this is fantastic. So tomorrow you go out to the wine store, you go and you buy 2 bottles. You go home and you drink it. Like, what happened? It doesn't taste the same. Okay? You know what happened there?
It wasn't paired with the
No. You had to have had all that fat from that rib steak in your mouth the same way like you had last night for that to be tasting like that. Okay? All the conditions have to exist for you to enjoy it the same way. It's a balance of acid and fat.
When you say heat, you're not talking temperature, you're talking like spice or something.
Heat chili pepper.
Okay,
Yeah? So the heat box has like, you got all your fresh chilies. Hawaiian chili pepper, Thai chili, jalapenos, serranos, habaneros, and you got all the liquid hot sauces like Tabasco and whatnot, and then you get all your pastes, your sriracha sauce, your sambal. Those are all forms of heat. Okay?
What cancels out the heat?
What cancels out the heat?
If you want to bring it down, but you still want the flavor.
Put less. Sweet.
Great question.
Sweet.
Yeah.
But you know what works too? You put a little sweet, cancel it down, and you do sour. That's what Chinese hot sour soup is. And these combinations exist in Europe too. In Europe, they would call it agrodolce, a sweet sour. Or, have you heard of that dish, duck à l'orange? In the kitchen, we have to make a gastrique, which is an orange sauce, and it's kind of sweet sour. And gastrique comes from where? Gastric acid. Okay, that's a good question, by the way. Any other questions? So, we're going to make a chilled tomato soup. What happens if your tomatoes are not as ripe? And you already have friends coming over. What are you going to do?
Go to the store. Right?
Buy another one. They're coming in 5 minutes.
That's a worst case scenario.
Okay, well, what you can do is you can cut them in half and sprinkle a little bit of salt and bake them in the oven. And what you're going to see, the salt is going to take moisture out, and the oven heat is going to start evaporating the water. And when the water evaporates, the flavors get more condensed. Okay? So, as I give them to Joy, she's going to put them up there, okay? So these are some examples of sodium. I don't call them salt because fish sauce, soy sauce, they're all forms of sodium. Even the Romans had garum, okay, acid, limes, vinegars, lemons, citrus, and wine. Wine is acidic too. Oh, you put them up already. Okay, all right, never mind. Sweet and bitter and heat. Okay, so that's how we work with like not so ripe tomatoes. Now, these are what I call blister tomatoes. If you look at these tomatoes, they look kind of like egg shaped. These are baby Romas. Okay, and Roma tomatoes are good for making sauce. They don't have as much water. They're very meaty. Okay, so this will simply just put on a pan, a little olive oil, a little salt, throw it in the oven, and then wait till it starts to crack. Okay, so now if you think about a steak and blistered tomatoes, this is very juicy. Okay, so this is just taste. Okay, that's a blistered tomato. And we're talking about how to get flavors out of tomatoes to accompany whatever you're going to eat. Okay, now that's not the only thing you're going to put on the plate, but it's something that gives flavor. Try them. Okay, um, is it a little better than just taking it out of the refrigerator? Okay, same tomato. Okay, same tomato, but I put a little bit more olive oil. In fact, I put a little avocado oil too. I've been switching to avocado oil. Okay, I put some sliced garlic, some shallots in there, bay leaf, some black peppercorns, and a little bit red chili flakes. So now they're bathing in oil, and I just stuck them in the oven. I stuck them in the oven until they popped and blistered again. Okay, the fancy French term be confit. Tomato confit in olive oil and garlic. Okay, try these.
Temperature do you use in the oven?
Slow, 350. Took about 15, 20 minutes. Try this.
What do you put in there?
Tomato confit, garlic, basil, shallots, bay leaf, black peppercorns. There you go. Now, we're not talking about finished dishes now. We're talking about something, a component, to add to something that adds flavor now. Okay? That you can put on your plate. It's going to add another dimension to your dinner.
I mean, like pasta sauce.
This makes excellent pasta sauce. This is like an uncooked fresh tomato pasta sauce. You just maybe mash a few of the tomatoes.
You can taste it.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
make our own pasta sauce.
There you go. Yeah. These are real simple hacks that actually exist in the kitchen. Pasta.
She called it peasant food. My grandmother.
Okay.
No, because she's Italian. When she would make like this.
Cucina povera. Okay. I was going to talk about that. No, it's okay. So, cucina or cocina? Cocina? Okay, cocina povera. Okay. This is food that comes from poor times. I believe every culture has had that time. In Hawaii's history, we had our plantation immigrant history. And when they came from China, Japan, Korea, Okinawa, and the Philippines, they were poor times. They worked in the plantations. And the food that they made, that's what I consider the soul food. You have to make something taste good. I ever say, make something out of nothing.
Quick rundown on that again. Olive oil, avocado oil, shallots, garlic, chili.
Chili flakes, sliced garlic, shallots, basil leaves just torn, and did I get it? Peppercorn, black peppercorn. Okay. In a pan, it's got to go in the oven. Yeah. You can put it in a glass casserole. You can put it in a cooking pan. 350, about 15, 20 minutes. Okay, let me get back to this. Let me get back to this, okay? Because you're gonna hear me talk about this at least 2 or 3 times. Okay, what happens when your bread gets stale? Okay, so the the breakfast dish, French toast. What did the French call that? French toast? No. The French call it pain perdu. Pain is bread, perdu is lost. Think about it. You got some old bread and you put some milk and eggs to this, little vanilla, sugar. You have French bread. Okay.
Brilliant.
What is a panzanella? A tomato panzanella. Technically, you got some bread and you make it more. You take the bread, you take the juices that come off, you put a little olive oil, maybe a splash of vinegar if you like, and you have something. How many of you have heard of a dish called ribollita? Tuscany. So that's I had that in Tuscany in Florence. Okay, it could be as easy as tomato, water, little garlic, maybe basil, and thicken with bread. Ribollita. Okay,
Can you spell that?
Ribollita. So we're talking about peasant food. We're talking about, you know, making something out of nothing, filling your tummy with something hot, so you can go to sleep and go to work tomorrow morning again. Okay. Okay. How many of you left side? Tomato, left side. How many on the right side? Okay. How many on the left side again? Okay. The left side was the generic supermarket tomato, imported from the mainland. The right side was a local vine ripened tomato. What's that?
Yeah.
You know, there is no wrong answer. We actually used to do this in the restaurant, and the waiter would have to, come back and tally it all up. How many left sides? How many right sides? There was one lady. What's that? Everybody has different taste buds, and one lady chose the mainland one, only one. So I had to go to the table and ask, "Ma'am, can I ask you why you chose that one?" She simply said, "That's what I grew up with. I like this one because I grew up with this, and to tell you the truth, the other one, that's too mushy for me." So, no wrong answer.
No wrong way.
But, okay, when I went to the second grade and I did this, I agreed to do it only if the parents came. And if the child liked the vine ripened local tomato, when they go to the store, they might tell mom or dad, "Hey, remember that tasting in school? Can we buy that tomato?" And that was because, as a small restaurant, we can only move this dial back so much. But everybody buying for households, you can move that dial back much more. I don't know if you remember, there was a Department of Ag study that said we import over 80% of our food into Hawaii. Okay? And my goal was to move it back 1 degree, 1% at a time. Well, that report came out in the 90s, like 98. Okay? We have gone backwards. We import about 90% of our food into Hawaii now. So maybe we can stop that, if we give it more spotlight. Okay. This is pretty easy now. You need a pretty good blender. A pretty good blender. If you make a good margarita, that's good enough. These are tomatoes that have been wedged. And that's all. Okay? Just wedged. These are the local Kaumara tomatoes. Now, tomatoes are acidic and sweet at the same time. 2 cloves of garlic. Let's do 3. Okay. Let's do salt. What is that? 2 teaspoons? Okay. I can always add more. I can't take away. That was about 5 small ones. Small ones now. Like these are small. Like 5 of those. Okay. Chili pepper water. Whether store-bought or homemade. Okay, you can buy this here. Parks brand. Everybody has their own tolerance for heat. And you put slowly. You can always add more, you can't take away. Now, I know this is a blend of oil that's 70% canola, 30% olive oil. Okay? This here is avocado oil. So, I know approximately how much was that? Quarter cup? Half cup? Okay.
So you don't worry about seeding them and parboil them and get the skins off or anything like that?
Nope. That's why it's important to have a high-powered blender. Okay.
We don't use blender. Immersion blender.
I would say it's not as strong.
I mean, I know.
And they say you're not supposed to, but I take these guys off. And if I need to add some more stuff, I would add it to the hole. So 1 spoon in, 1 spoon in the mouth. Okay. So we got sweet, we got acid, we got heat going on, we got salt. Okay. I've kind of reduced cooking down to the simplest thing. It's how much salt and pepper you put on your food. It's your seasoning. Sometimes you slave over a pot of stew or tomato sauce or what have you, and you're always putting a little bit this, a little bit that. Okay, so sometimes it's all about seasoning. This is the pepper. If you ever came to the restaurant, we had soy sauce and chili pepper water. That was our salt and pepper. Now, this is not only heat, this is acid. Okay? They put vinegar in here. So, it's like that tomato thing. What happens when I add acid to this tomato thing? What's supposed to happen? It's supposed to make the tomatoes just a little bit sweeter and pop a little bit. Sometimes when a dish is flat, add a sprinkle of vinegar, a few drops, brings it alive. If you make something the day before and the next day it's kind of mellowed out, perk it up. Put a little acid in it. It doesn't have to be vinegar. It could be a few drops of lemon juice. It could be a splash of this. Okay, we also had a bunch of tomatoes today. And so whenever there were like any juices left over, I saved them all. So it's simply called tomato water. Okay? So I'm feeling like the oil is fat. There's a lot of acid in here. Okay? I don't want to add so much oil where you don't taste the tomato. What the oil also does is temper the acid, so it's not as acidic. Now, I don't want to get too complicated, okay? But it's just this juggling act, okay? So, anybody notice what just happened to the color? When I added more avocado oil, it got a little bit more orange. That would only happen if the machine was high powered. Thank you. Excuse me?
It doesn't, emulsify, is that the right word?
Okay, that's a good one, okay? The mass of tomato is keeping the acid and oil together. That if you left it in the refrigerator overnight, it might separate a little bit.
So it has to be with a blender.
This particular recipe, yes. Okay? So instead of 100%, okay, I wanted to use a lot of the things that I do don't really go well with extra virgin olive oil. It's too strong. Imagine going to a Japanese restaurant, Chinese restaurant, Korean restaurant, and putting extra virgin olive oil on. You blow all the flavors away. Too strong. So I work with a lot of Asian ingredients, and it doesn't match. So an olive oil blend is okay. I could have used all 100% avocado oil, but then this one's much more expensive. Okay? Because I have choices here. I have grapeseed oil, I have extra virgin olive oil, and I have organic olive oil. And they all taste different. You're welcome to try them later on. Okay? But what's the star of this? It's supposed to be the tomato. So earlier, it was mentioned that I'm going to do this with a goat cheese toast. Okay, so if you've ever been to the restaurant, we used to serve something called soup and sandwich. So I decided to do that for you today. Okay, so it's a simple grilled cheese sandwich with Kalo pig and foie gras. Foie gras. Okay, it's inspired by my time on the East Coast. You know, in the wintertime, tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwich. So instead of a hot tomato soup, it's a cold one. Instead of a grilled cheese sandwich, I just put a little bit of Kalo pig in there and the foie gras. Okay? While they're doing that, let me jump to this. Okay? You take a baguette, you take 2 slices. Okay? If it's skinny, you cut it on the bias. It gets a little bit larger. So, I have here mozzarella cheese. It happens to be already grated. If you have sliced, that's fine. Just cover the bread. Okay. Now then, I take the Kalo pig and I put it like in one simple layer. Okay. How many of you know what foie gras is? Okay, this is the duck liver. Okay, so I seared it and I cut it in half. Okay, I seared a piece like that. It's about 3 ounces, and I cut it in half. Okay, so then I'm gonna put that in the middle. Okay, then I make the sandwich. Okay, sorry you can't see. Take a little butter. Put them in the oven. Now, what happens if you put too much butter? It's greasy, soft. Okay. Okay, so just a little bit. So you would put that on a pancake griddle or a pan, or Teflon pan probably works the best. You would do the same as if you're making a grilled cheese sandwich. Now, I have the luxury of this nice griddle here, okay, that I probably could cook 50 at a time. Okay, these are from Whole Farms too. They'll be in your little carton, okay? Nice orange ones. So we're gonna do 2 soups. One red, one yellow, in the same glass for you. Now, some of you can your own tomatoes. Okay? The point here is, if you have a great canned product, and if it's better than your fresh product, it's okay to use your canned product. Does that make sense? Okay? I mean, if you're trying to force a fresh tomato to make it taste good, you're not going to be as successful. Sometimes, not only the canned product works, but it's always going to be consistent. Okay? So here's a canned yellow tomato. Canned yellow tomato. Okay? They sell that in the specialty store here. That's in that corner over there.
Is that part of the soup?
I just made the red soup. This is the yellow one. Okay? So I added 3 garlic cloves the last time. 3 garlic cloves here. I added some chili pepper water. Okay? Maybe I add a little bit more than last time. Okay? I know I'm going to add some oil, so I'll start now with a little bit. And I'll put the rest in while it's going. Now, talking about bread, there is a soup, a tomato cold soup, that when you put bread in it, they call it something else. Right? What do you call it? A cold tomato soup? Gazpacho. What's that? Some people do, I don't. So maybe you heard of something called samarejo. This one's sweeter.
Why?
Oh,
Because the tomatoes are different?
tomatoes are different.
And you use grape tomatoes.
Yes. If the tomatoes are great, the yellow tomatoes tend to be sweeter. Okay? But it's a little thick. I'm going to add a little tomato water. I don't have to. I want to make these two, the viscosity, almost similar. So when they pour it at the same time, it kind of stays separate. I think it needs a little more salt, pepper. Okay. Okay, how are we doing here? Check the inside. You turned it up? Make sure the inside's hot. Okay. So, you take your glass, and I like to use a clear glass. In the restaurant, we had a martini glass. Red one, yellow one.
Not really, it's not very good.
Okay. So, this glass is not completely round, but I tried to do like a little yin yang in there. Okay. And then, Grant, where's basil? This one right there. Perfect. Put that in between the red and yellow. And this is what's going to be served to you. Okay? A grilled cheese sandwich on the side. All right? So that'll be ready for you just in like maybe a couple minutes. And I'm going to set up for the next one. Any questions in the meantime? Pretty easy, huh?
When you do it, yeah.
So it's, yeah, it's together.
You can serve one.
Yeah, but I mean, if you serve it like you did, where you have both of them, would you suggest that the eater mix them up or eat them? Great question. Right, left.
Ah, okay. Okay. Well, when you get it, you're not going to know if one is sweeter than the other. Right? So, if you want to do this, you taste left side, taste right side, then mix them up.
I just want to look used to
The most important thing was this sandwich has cheese, okay, mozzarella cheese. It has kalu pig. It has foie gras, okay, and it has butter on the outside of that bread. So I'm hoping that this soup is acidic enough to complement all that fat. That would be the most important thing. To make it more confusing, in the very, very beginning, the original dish, there was a green tomato soup. And I wasn't trying to make a yin yang. I was just trying to make a mixture of tomatoes. So my hope was not to go like sip, 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 but together, it's you get tomato. It was about one farmer. Okay, that's what it was. But hey, if you only got one tomato, and that's okay. It's about the sandwich. It's like tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwich. That's what it is. There we go. Okay, Joy, you can start serving them. No, leave them there. Leave them there. Just Grant, take this.
This one you kind of trade.
You know, sometimes if I came across that, I would add just like a pinch of sugar to tame down the acid. I think one of the cures, not it's not a cure, but if you are gonna eat that, maybe eat it a lot earlier before your bedtime. You know, because it's I believe, not a doctor. We have doctors here. I believe when you're sleeping and you're lying down, and everything comes up this way, it hits the back of your throat, right? So that might cause some of that.
You don't tame it with like baking soda or something.
I've heard about that too, but I don't know because I never use baking soda. I've heard about it. I use sugar if anything else. But I think if you cook it for a long time, you're cooking that the acid out of that tomato, you know, because it comes from a can, yeah. So you're cooking some of that out. It's a good question. Anybody put carrots in their marinara?
Yeah, I roast them.
Okay, so carrots add flavor, texture, but it adds a sweetness of the carrots. Uh, when you put onions, if you caramelize the onions, you're adding sugar and sweetness. So little tricks. Take a look at the brand of product you're using. If you're not happy with this canned product, switch cans, switch brands. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but you might have better results with a different brand. Some people like, was it Heinz versus what ketchup?
Once.
Okay. Heinz versus Hunt's? Okay, yeah. Personal preference. Okay, the next thing I'm going to demonstrate is by the way, when you came and if you ordered the soup and sand, if you notice the soup and sandwich was in quotes. Okay, that meant that you're getting a soup and sandwich, but nothing's normal about it. Okay, so that became an expectation. Not everything had quotes on it, but if it had quotes on it, people would be wondering, okay, what's he doing with that? Okay, and I think that became an expectation over time that I would do something different with something. Okay, you know why this style of cooking had a bad name, bad reputation, and bad name? Fusion. Fusion had a bad name. It's because when you put CON in front of fusion, you get confusion. Okay? Confusion happened when, number one, when the chef didn't understand the ingredients. Like miso is not just miso. You have so many different kinds. Sweet kind, salty kind, very deep and dark kind. Soy sauce the same. You cannot just take ginger and use it any old way. You put it in marinade, it's going to eat the protein so much because there's an enzyme in the ginger. All these little things, you got to know. You got to understand the ingredients, and then you got to also understand how you're going to mix this with this. So that's why I've kind of adopted this, and just work slowly. If you ever went out to dinner and had one of those confusion meals, you know what I'm talking about. Okay? Maybe too sweet. Maybe like 7 colors on the plate. Maybe like the dish is this high. You know? Okay. The reason why I said that is this panzanella is not quite the same. I recently came back from Switzerland and Germany. I was in a restaurant and I ordered the panzanella. It was literally cubes of bread that were kind of hard, but moistened with the tomato. It was not really anything to look at. It was maybe the real deal, but tomatoes moistened with the bread, like croutons. Olive oil, salt, maybe a splash of vinegar. I wanted to see what the real deal was like. Nothing wrong with that, huh? Well, nothing wrong with that, but it's not my wheelhouse of flavors. It's what you had to do. It's what you had to do with what you had. So, I have here these are all small tomatoes. You got yellows, oranges, reds, you got greens. I have an assortment of olives. Now, what I did was I salted them first. Okay? Um, for example, this is one that I'm going to demonstrate, and this is the one you're going to eat. Okay? I salted them ahead of time. This was salted like 1 hour ahead before you came at 5 o'clock. The liquid came out. Salt takes moisture, water out. Now, some people like to take a tomato, cut in half, squeeze the seeds and water out. Okay? I don't like to because that's flavor. That's the juice. That's juices. I'll take the liquid. That's going to help me with the olive oil, create its own little dressing, and that's what's going to coat the croutons. Okay? So, these are the tomatoes salted with the juices, olive oil, hand torn basil. Got a bunch of olives in there that you're going to get to take home.
A variety of kinds of olives, that you're using, or just the same olive?
What's that?
The same olive, or a lot of different?
All of the different kind and assorted. Okay? I need the croutons for this. This is for this is my version of stale bread. Okay? I'm going to do them for you. But while I'm doing this, they're going to be plating this up so you kind of get it at the same time. So I do the croutons last minute. I want them to still have a little bit of texture to them. I don't want them to be all mushy. You could make them all mushy and put them in there early. Okay? Now, I don't want to. Still getting used to this stove. Okay? So when I'm tasting, what am I tasting for? Seasoning, salt. I think it needs a little salt. And what I'm going to do is add a little bit more cheese. Parm. You can go. Okay, a little oil in the pan. Okay? A little oil, and I put the cut bread inside here. Excuse me? This one was the blend. Sometimes when things get too hot, it's the easiest thing to do. Just take it off the fire. Okay? You want it kind of like on medium heat. So, yes, we're sauteing bread.
Do you season the bread at all when you put it in the oven to dry it off?
No, I would do that after. For the same reason that I almost always use unsalted butter, so I can add the salt to it. So the avocado oil. Okay. This thing is getting really hot on me. This is minced garlic. And I take a little butter. So I'm kind of like making a garlic butter right in the pan. Okay? And I put the garlic in one spot in the pan, and I put the butter right on top of the garlic. So the butter's going to melt right on where the garlic is. Butter's going to cook. Then you toss it all together. Okay? It would be at this point that I just add a little salt. If you want to make them, you got bread, oil, butter, garlic. If I wanted to, I would do this. Take a little cheese. And these would be great croutons for salad. These are soft yet because they're hot. Once you take them out, you cool them down to get a little bit more firm. So, what's that? I think that's it, huh? Basil. Salted tomatoes and olives. I kind of already did it already. Some minced shallots. Some minced garlic. Some avocado oil. Only if you want. Some balsamic vinegar if you want to put it on. Pass that down, please. Only if you want. What the balsamic vinegar is going to do to the dish, acid and sweetness. Lee, find me a microplane, a grater. Pass this out. Pass out one per. So if you want other types of cheeses, you can use feta cheese. You can use goat cheese. You can take a little bit of feta cheese and freeze it. Okay? And then when you kind of grate it on your salad, looks like snow. they're gonna give you a cube of feta cheese if you want. If you still got salad. Show them this too. No. And the goat cheese coming around is Laura Chanel from California. Any questions? Okay, so this is not just about the two tomatoes that come from two farms. It's a little bit about vegetables. So that's why I included the daikon tea. And so I just have a couple of surprises for you. Okay? That involve vegetables. How many of you have eaten cooked cucumbers? So I have some cucumbers here. These are English cucumbers. I peeled them. I took the seed out. They're like cut like that, and they are quarters of a cucumber. So there's a little bit of butter. I put some of that tomato water in here, seasoned with salt. So in classical cooking, if you had a glazed carrot or a glazed cucumber, when it's shiny like that, that's the glaze. Okay? But it needs a little bit more cooking. It should be not raw, not mushy, but little texture. Okay? This is coming to you. Now, I'm also going to make a Kahlua pig Caesar salad for you. That was one time on the menu too. It's going to go in this cheese basket. Okay? Now, that's the show plate, and I'm going to put a disc right on top of your salad. Okay? So, I believe in Italy they call this frico. Okay, they make these are just a snack. You would eat this with some champagne or prosecco. Okay, a simple one. This has, very simply, Parmesan cheese and a little bit of panko or breadcrumbs. Okay? The breadcrumbs kind of soak up the fat coming from the cheese, and together the fat and the breadcrumbs make it crispy. This is kind of the current trendy thing that a lot of chefs are doing. They put this mess of cheese on a griddle, then they put the hamburger on it, or they put their tortilla on it. Then when they take it off, the cheese comes hard, and you get chewy, crispy cheese. Taco, really?
They have something like that.
What do they call it? So now you can use a Teflon pan. That'd probably be best. But the advantage of having a griddle like this or like a little bigger pan like this is you can take a spatula and go behind it versus if you had a pan, you got the lid to deal with, right? Okay, so right now the Parmesan cheese is completely melted. Okay, it's kind of getting happy with the breadcrumbs. Separate this. Okay, this is almost like a Caesar's dressing. You're looking at the label? I made that. Okay, I just used the bottle. I used the empty bottle. Okay. So, if you want to start with eggs and make the dressing from scratch like that, great. Okay. If you want to cheat, use mayonnaise. All right. So this is mayonnaise, anchovies, garlic, lemon juice, Parmesan cheese. That's all. Simple. Okay. We're balancing the salt from the anchovies, the salt from the Parmesan, the acid from the lemon juice. Pause. Put inside. Let's taste one. One. Good enough piercing? Okay. Okay. Do that first. And put more cheese on top after. Here. You put more cheese and put more croutons.
You want the cheese first or the color?
It's up to you. So what's coming around is I think celery is a very underutilized vegetable. It has a lot of flavor. And so may pickled celery and tomatoes. So that bowl is pickled celery and tomatoes. Help yourself. Okay, we're still celebrating vegetables. Then when they can, they'll pass out these sauteed cucumbers. Okay? And they're plating the Caesar salad. Okay, while you're eating that, okay, this is bread. Put into the oven, leftovers, okay? So dry that, okay, so you see it? So this is gonna go into my ribolita. Okay? Cheese on the salad? A little bit. Not a whole lot, a little bit. You know, you know, if you like dill, that would have been a great one. Dill. You can try cooking it in olive oil instead of butter. Olive oil and water. A little different, huh? You never thought about it. So now you got the Kalo pig. It's with the Caesar dressing. Tomatoes are supposed to be the acid that kind of lightens everything up. But if you just want the Kalo pig and Caesar dressing, eat that by itself, push the tomato to the side. And that's that cheese crisp. So that this cheese crisp, this basket here, was simply, after it was done, put over this upside down. And let it cool. When it cools, it gets crisp. Is that still crisp? Soup cups. Okay, I need someone to cut lemon avocado wedges. Give me the cilantro. How we doing? No, it wasn't on the menu, but little surprises. When you're cutting cilantro, don't throw the stems away. This has the most flavor. Okay, one last surprise. Okay, you guys okay for one more? Okay, y'all know what Manhattan clam chowder? It's red based, right? Celery. Except I didn't put any potatoes in it. You know what a tortilla soup is? Got the crispy tortillas, maybe avocado, maybe some lime, right? Okay. And so if you know what ribolita is, it could be as simply as tomato. Now, I put stock in this card too. I call it liquid. The simplest is I use water. I could use chicken stock. I could use canned chicken broth. Okay, fish stock, homemade, or you could use base or canned. It just comes under the card called liquid. Okay? So tomato, liquid, bread. Maybe a little cheese. So like the tortilla soup, gonna put some cilantro on top, a wedge of avocado, crispy tortilla chips, a wedge of lime. So I'm almost saying like, what happens when the Manhattan clam chowder meets the ribolita, and then they both meet tortilla soup? That's what you're gonna get, okay? I never did this before, okay? All I knew was, I was gonna work with some tomatoes and try to make you some kind of soup today. And I thought, ribolita, I really enjoyed that. So this is a version of ribolita. Okay, you guys ready? Here we go. I think not only not only did some great things come out of poor times, it's the least expected time that you figure something out, that maybe you come up with something new. Sometimes you come up with something by accident.
And hopefully you wrote it down.
A little whoops. Okay? Okay. Now where are the croutons for this dish? Okay. No, go. Come here. Come. Okay. So after the cheese and the three, you put like this. Okay. Then. Okay. Take the skin off. Excuse me? Okay, this was low sodium chicken broth, organic from the store, and clam juice. 1 can of clam juice and 1 can of clam with clam meat. This is the quahog. So it's a little bit bigger. Anybody try the celery pickle? Tomato pickle?
There you go. I love the spicy.
Well, today was about tomatoes, 2 farmers, and maybe a little bit more about vegetables. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Yeah. Officially sold out. How can we get in?
Well, I'm gonna have to talk to Joy or Russell. Anyway, thank you, Russell. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. Hope you had a good time, and I hope to see you again.